Alright, let's talk about Rick Partlow's Holy War series. It's 4 books, but honestly, it's one story split into 4 parts. Think of it like a binge-worthy Netflix show. You don't stop after episode 1, you plow through the whole thing. And here's a cool tidbit. Holy War is actually the starting point of Rick Partlow's massive Drop Trooper universe, which spans an insane 44 books. 44 books! This series lays the groundwork for that entire universe. So if you're looking to dive into a sprawling military sci-fi saga, this is where you start. Oh, and if you want the full breakdown of the Drop Trooper universe, I've got you covered. Just click right here. We start with Genesis, where humanity discovers a rift in space that sends a mining ship, the Karuna, to another solar system. The crew sends a desperate message back to Earth before disappearing, and the whole thing sets up this mystery. What's on the other side of that rift? Fast forward, and Captain Travis Miller gets the job of leading a mission through that rift. But this isn't some chill exploration gig. They stumble right into the path of the Tahni Empire, who are basically religious zealots with spaceships. First contact? More like first war. And from there, it's on. This first book is a rocket-powered start. You've got a mix of intrigue, what happened to the Karuna, high-stakes political maneuvering, should Earth even risk sending a fleet? And then bam, space combat. The Herculean Miller's ship faces off against the Tahni in a battle that sets the tone for the series. It's tense, it's chaotic, and by the end, humanity is left reeling. It's like the prologue to the bigger war, but it doesn't hold back on the punches. Now let's move to Judgment Day. This book is where the series digs into the grind of war. Earth is trying to figure out how to fight an enemy that outnumbers them, outguns them, and has a literal religious mandate to wipe them out. Miller's back, but he's not just fighting in space. He's fighting politics. The Commonwealth government is more interested in defending Earth than liberating its colonies. But Miller knows that pulling back is a mistake. Meanwhile, the Battle of Brigantia steals the show here. This is one of those hold the line at all costs moments, and it's brutal. You feel the desperation as the Commonwealth fleet tries to stop the Tahni from steamrolling them. It's not just a battle, it's a turning point. The book also introduces more of Miller's personal struggles, like balancing his duty as a leader with the emotional toll of war. It's heavy, but it's also gripping. Then we get to Revelation. This is where the story splits into 2 fronts and things really heat up. On one side, you've got Miller commanding a task force, hitting smaller Tahni outposts to disrupt their operations. On the other, you've got Sergeant Ryan Hendricks leading a resistance on Aphrodite, a colony world completely occupied by the Tahni. Hendricks' chapters are intense. He's training farmers and engineers to fight against an alien military, and it's as gritty as it gets. The guy's a cybernetic super soldier, stronger, faster, tougher than any normal human, but he's still just one man trying to turn civilians into warriors. And the Tahni? They're relentless. They don't just want to win, they want to crush humanity's spirit. By the end of this book, you're on the edge of your seat, waiting to see how these 2 fronts will collide. Finally, we've got Armageddon. And yeah, the title says it all. This is the big finale, and it's absolutely relentless. Miller's task force is finally given the green light to liberate Aphrodite, but it's an uphill battle. The Tahni have fortified the planet, and their fleet is waiting to ambush any human ships that show up. Miller has to outthink and outmaneuver an enemy that has every advantage, while Hendricks and his militia are barely holding on down on the surface. The ground battles are brutal, with ambushes, sabotage missions, and desperate last stands. Hendricks has to make impossible calls, sacrificing people to keep the resistance alive long enough for the fleet to break through. And Miller? He's dealing with internal conflicts in his fleet, political interference from Earth, and a personal relationship that's complicating his command. The stakes couldn't be higher. And when everything finally comes together, it's one hell of a payoff. The action is next level. The space battles are like fireworks shows with consequences, and the ground combat is gritty and intense. Partlow knows how to make you feel the chaos and stakes of every fight. The characters are another strength. Miller's stoic leadership, Hendricks' resilience, even the Tahni's fanaticism. It all feels real. And the world building? It's fantastic. The rift, the Tahni's religious zealotry, the ancient alien predecessors who built the jump gates. It all adds depth to the story, but it's not perfect. The scale of some battles can feel off. Liberating a whole planet with a small militia? Suspension of disbelief required. And the middle books slow down a bit with setup and politics. It's not boring, but you might catch yourself waiting for the next big explosion. Overall, though, this series is a blast. If you're into military sci-fi, if you love a good action-packed story about humanity clawing its way back from the brink, you're gonna love it. Oh, and one more thing. As I was reading Holy War, I couldn't help but notice how much the story structure, protagonists, and even the antagonists reminded me of Rick Partlow's World War Mars series. Those 3 books were my first Rick Partlow books, and realizing the similarities here just got me even more hyped to dive deeper. If you've read World War Mars, which is a standalone series, not part of the Drop Trooper universe, you're going to feel right at home with Holy War. So there we have it. Have you read the Holy War series by Rick Partlow? What did you think of the Tahni? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more military sci-fi content. See you next time. Burn bright and burn enough.